The bride at the station. The whistle screamed, long and sharp, splitting the desert silence. Steam hissed, wheels screeched, iron grinding on iron until the train groaned to a halt. The dust hung heavy, heat shimmering off the rails. From the coach door, she stepped. Thin veil, faded blue dress, satchel clutched tight. Her boots struck wood planks with the weight of someone who had come too far to turn back. The crowd parted. Men tipped hats at others, not at her. Women drew children close. Eyes cut her way, then away again, quick as guilty hands. She stood, waiting for a face, waiting for a hand. None came. The station clock ticked. The telegraph clacked behind glass. Horses shifted, stamping hooves into dust. She kept her chin high, though her lashes trembled, though the corner of her mouth shook. And then it came, the thing that betrayed her. A tear, sliding down, catching sun. Then another. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Her fingers clenched the satchel until leather creaked. She tried to swallow the ache rising like thunder in her chest, but the crowd saw, and the whispers began. Mail order bride. No one claimed her. Poor thing. She turned her face away, shoulders stiff, fighting shame the desert had no mercy for. Her breath hitched once, sharp, like glass caught in the throat. The world might have left her there. The train would pull out, the dust would scatter, and she would stand forgotten in the blaze of the sun. But then, "Don't cry, Mama." The voice cut the silence clean as a blade. Small, sure, carrying across the platform like it had always been meant for her. She froze. The crowd froze with her. A boy, 7, maybe 8, stood by the hitching rail. Sunburnt face, straw hat too big for his head, boots dusty from the road. His eyes were fixed on her with a steadiness that didn't belong to children. He stepped forward, slow, measured, each footfall soft against the boards. His hand lifted, not shy, not timid, but as though he had known her all his short life. "Don't cry, Mama," he said again. "We've been waiting." Gasps rippled through the gathered. One woman covered her mouth. A ranch hand spat into the dirt, shaking his head. The bride did not move, did not speak. The boy closed the last distance and reached for her hand. Small fingers, rough from work, slipped into hers. Certain, unquestioning. The platform was so still, even the horses held their breath. The bride looked down at him, looked at that face, eyes too old for the years they carried. Her tears stopped. The crowd leaned forward, every ear straining for the word, the denial, the protest. But she gave none. Instead, she straightened. The veil lifted as her chin rose. In the hard white sun, her eyes caught a glint, sharp, deep, unfathomable. For the first time since she stepped off the train, she spoke. Her voice was low, steady. "All right, son," she said. The boy's fingers tightened on hers. And just like that, the whispers grew louder. "That ain't her child. What's she playing at? Some trick." But she didn't flinch, didn't falter. She let the words fall away like chaff in wind. With the boy at her side, she stepped down off the platform, boots striking dirt. Each step carried weight the crowd had not seen before. Not the step of a lost woman, not the faltering tread of one abandoned. Something else moved in her stride, something old. The boy looked up at her once, and she looked down. No smile, no tear, only a quiet nod, as though both had reached an understanding the world wasn't meant to share. Behind them, the train gave a lonesome wail. Steam billowed, wheels turned, iron screamed once more, and the coaches rolled forward. The station emptied into silence, save for the creak of wood and the restless scrape of wind across sand. The bride and the boy walked on. Eyes followed, murmurs stirred, but no one dared step in their path. Not then, not after seeing that look in her eyes. The kind of look the frontier remembered. Whispers in the dust. The ranch house door slammed against its frame. The boy tugged her inside, dust still clinging to her hem. Voices rose at once, sharp, startled, doubtful. "Who's this? Where'd you drag her from? She ain't kin." The bride set her satchel down on the scarred table. Her hand lingered there, palm flat, steady against the worn wood. She did not answer. The boy spoke for her. "This is Mama." The room fell silent. The fire popped. Wind rattled through the chinks in the wall. The oldest ranch hand spat into the ashes, jaw tight. Boy, your mama's buried yonder past the cottonwoods. Don't go raising ghosts. But the child's gaze never wavered. He clung to her skirt, small fist knotted in fabric as if daring anyone to pull her away. Footsteps echoed on the porch. The door banged open again. Men entered, 3 of them, wide belts heavy with iron, dust of the canyon roads still clinging to their coats. Evening, the lead one drawled. His eyes slid over the room, landed on the bride, narrowed. Seems this place grows new family quick. Nobody answered. The men stepped further in, spurs biting wood. One shoved his hat back, showing a scar twisted across his cheek. Barron says you're late on payment. Barron says you best be ready to sell. The boy's uncle stiffened at the hearth. His hands curled into fists. This land's ours. Ain't for sale. The scarred man's grin was thin. Everything's for sale. He reached, sudden, quick as a snake, and caught the boy by the collar. The child gasped, feet kicking. The bride moved. No hesitation. No warning. Her hand clamped the thug's wrist, twisting hard until bone cracked like dry kindling. He howled, dropping the boy, stumbling back. Her eyes locked on his, unflinching. You don't touch him. The room held its breath. The other 2 shifted, hands hovering over pistols. But something in her stance, something coiled, dangerous, made them falter. The scarred man cursed, cradling his arm. He spat at the floorboards, rage burning hot. You'll pay for that. Barron, don't forget. They backed out, but not before slamming the door hard enough to shake dust from the rafters. The boy pressed himself to her side, trembling. She rested a hand on his shoulder, firm, steady. The others stared, shock playing on their faces, whispers already curling through the room like smoke. She broke his arm clean. Did you see her eyes? She ain't what she seems. The uncle stepped forward, voice low. Who are you? The bride's gaze didn't shift from the door. Her lips pressed tight. No, answer given. Outside, the rider's curses faded into the canyon wind. A hawk cried overhead. Somewhere in the distance, cattle bellowed, uneasy. The boy tugged her hand. She looked down at him then, and for a moment the steel in her eyes softened. Don't worry, Mama, he whispered. We'll be safe with you here. The whispers grew louder after that night. In town, men leaned against saloon posts, muttering. Women hushed one another at the pump. The name of the Baron rode on every tongue, tied now to the stranger bride who'd stepped off the train. At the general store porch, voices carried. She ain't no ordinary woman. Widow, maybe. Look at her hands. Not soft like a bride's. Mark my words, trouble's coming. And still she kept silent. Still she worked beside the boy, mending fence posts, carrying water, eyes always scanning the horizon. The wind carried dust through the canyon passes. With it came unease, the kind that seeps deep, the kind that waits just out of sight. But the widow did not bend. Not that night, nor the next. And every time the boy slipped his hand into hers, she held on. Blood on the horizon. Flames licked the night sky. The barn timbers cracked, caving inward, sparks showering across the corral. Cattle bawled, hooves pounding in a panicked stampede, breaking fences, scattering into the dark. Dogs barked wild, chains straining. The boy clung to her waist, eyes wide in the firelight. Smoke stung her throat, but her grip never loosened. Shadows moved at the edge of the blaze, riders turning their horses, torches still burning in their fists. One let out a laugh, harsh and sharp, before spurring into the canyon night. The ranch family ran with buckets, desperate, shouting orders drowned by the roar of fire. She didn't shout. She watched. Every flicker of light burned into her eyes, every rider's shape carved deep into memory. When the roof crashed in, she turned the boy away, pressing his face to her side. By morning, only ashes smoldered. The air hung heavy with ruin. Cattle gone, fences broken, the smell of charred wood thick as grief. The uncle stood staring, head in hand, shoulders bent. His voice cracked when he finally spoke. They'll keep coming. Baron won't stop till we're driven out. Her gaze stayed fixed on the horizon where the canyon mouth yawned wide. They'll come again, she said. The boy lifted his head at her tone. It was not despair he heard. It was certainty. That night, Lantern light filled the kitchen. She sat at the table, an old revolver laid out before her. The metal gleamed faint, worn smooth by years of use. A cloth in her hand, she oiled each piece with care, her motions practiced precise. The boy watched from the doorway, silent. He had never seen her like this. Jaws set, eyes cold, hands steady as stone. "You ain't afraid," he whispered. She looked up at him, pausing only a moment. "I was," she said. Her gaze fell back to the pistol. "Not anymore." The child stepped closer. "Was this Papa's?" Her hand froze on the barrel. "Yes," she said at last. The word carried weight, heavy with memory. She slid the cylinder back into place with a soft click. By dawn, the widow rode out. Dust trailed behind her horse, the boy's eyes following from the fence line until she disappeared into the cut of the canyon. The saloon doors creaked when she pushed them open. Smoke curled from lamps, cards slapped wood, and talk died in waves as heads turned. She crossed the room, each step ringing hard against the floorboards. Men shifted uneasily, glasses lowered. The sheriff rose from his corner, face pale beneath his brim. "You shouldn't be here," he muttered. Her eyes cut to him. "You won't stop them." The sheriff swallowed, looking down. "Ain't my fight." Her voice was iron. "It's mine." Outside, the canyon wind carried whispers. She's gone to face him. Madness. Or something else. She stood in the street as the sun climbed high, shadow stretching long at her feet. Hoofbeats came, slow, measured, growing louder. The Baron's riders, their laughter rolling ahead of them like thunder. Dust rose in their wake, sun glinting on steel at their hips. They reined up, a half-circle of sneers and cold eyes. One leaned forward, grinning. "Thought we broke you last night. Guess you need teaching proper." Her hand rested at her side, near the worn grip of the revolver. Her gaze swept each face, steady, unshaken. The Baron himself rode in last, black coat flowing, hat low. His smile was cruel, his words slow. "You've got no claim here, widow. Best you run while you can." Her answer came quiet, even. "This land stays. The boy stays. I stay." The Baron chuckled, deep and cold. "Then you'll fall with it." His hand twitched toward his gun. She was faster. The crack split the air. His hat flew as the bullet carved past his ear, grazing skin, tearing silence to pieces. Every rider stiffened, eyes wide, hands hovering. She spoke again, voice sharp as steel. "Next shot don't miss." The air held its breath. Horses stamped, restless. Fingers twitched on holsters, but none dared draw. At last, the Baron's smile faded. His gaze darkened. He yanked the reins, turning his horse with a snarl. "This ain't done." The riders wheeled, dust cloud rising as they thundered back to the canyons. The townsfolk watching from doorways from behind glass let out breaths they hadn't known they held. She lowered her pistol, eyes never leaving the horizon. The boy's voice echoed in her memory. "We'll be safe with you here." And for the first time, she almost believed it. The widow's reckoning. The sun stood straight overhead. Heat pressed down like a hand, smothering, merciless. The street lay empty, but for her boots, pacing the dust, slow, measured. Shutters creaked as faces peered through cracks. Every doorway held breath, every shadow waited. Spurs jingled. Hoofbeats came steady, echoing against the false fronts of the town. The Baron rode in, black coat flaring, his men fanning wide behind him. Guns at their sides, laughter sharp as broken glass. The widow stood alone, revolver low at her hip, veil gone, hair pulled back tight. The Baron reined up, horse snorting, dust curling around hooves. His grin cut cruel. "You should have run." Her eyes did not move. "I told you. I stay." The silence deepened, heavy as stone. Even the wind seemed to halt. Then a pistol scraped leather. The street exploded. Her gun barked once, twice, 3 times, each shot sharp, merciless. A rider toppled from his saddle, another dropped screaming, hand clutching his chest. The townsfolk gasped, ducking low, windows shattering as bullets tore through wood. The widow strode forward through smoke, reloading swift, precise. Her arm never shook. Her eyes never blinked. Another came at her, firing wild. She pivoted, calm as a storm's eye, and her bullet found him clean. He spun, fell, silent, swallowing his cry. The Baron snarled, wheeling his horse. Kill her. But his men faltered. Some drew, some hesitated, seeing how steady she stood, how each pull of her trigger rang final as judgment. 3 more shots, 3 more down, and then she was face to face with him. The Baron dismounted, boots sinking into the dust, pistol heavy in his hand. His smile was gone now, teeth bared, eyes wild. You think you can stand against me? Her voice was low even. I don't think. I know. He raised his gun. So did she. For a heartbeat, the world stilled. One breath. One blink. The cracks split the air. The Baron staggered, eyes wide. His pistol dropped, clattering on stone. Blood bloomed dark across his chest. He fell to his knees, dust rising around him, then collapsed face first into the street. The silence after was heavier than gunfire. From the windows, whispers stirred. From the doors, feet shuffled. The town looked upon her not as a bride abandoned, not as a woman forgotten. They looked upon her as a legend. The widow holstered her revolver, slow, final. She turned, eyes meeting the boys at the edge of the street. He stood barefoot in dust, face streaked with tears and smoke, small hands clenched at his sides. She walked to him. Kneeling, she set her hand against his cheek, her voice soft enough only he could hear. Now Mama's home. The child threw his arms around her. She held him close, the weight of the world easing at last. The townsfolk stepped out, gathering in silence, hats in hands. Not one dared speak against her. Not one dared doubt who she was now. The storyteller's voice carried over them all, echoing in memory, in legend. And so it was on that sun-scorched street. A bride's tears fell no longer. For where sorrow once stood, a reckoning rose. They still tell it. How the widow faced the Baron, how the frontier bent to her will, and how a boy's voice named her Mama and made her more than the world ever guessed she could be.